Okay, so my name is Krista. I am the director of High Trails, and I am so excited to welcome you all to our round two packing Zoom. And if you are like me, you might be what is called a pre-packer. And so pre-packing people pack their suitcase ahead of a trip and go, do I have what I need? Do I not have what I need? And then take some things out probably because you always pack way more than you need. And that's kind of like this Zoom. So we did our practice Zoom, and now we're having another one here with you all to talk some more about packing. And so I'd love to introduce the rest of the year-on team who's joining us this evening.
Hi, my name is Jenny, and I am the registrar and travel coordinator at Sanborn.
Hi everyone, my name is Carly and I am the trips program director at High Trails. And I go to the airport on opening and closing day. So I am into the travel world as well.
All right, so we are so excited for you all to be here today, and I am going to share my screen with you so that you can see our presentation of what we are looking at. Let me see if I can get it to share. All right, can you guys all see that?
Can you?
Yes. Perfect. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about the packing list and items that you can either rent from camp or purchase from camp, what the High Trails and Big Spring facilities look like so everyone understands how to pack and how they're going to unpack while they are at camp, what laundry looks like, what car arrivals might look like when you come to camp by car, how we work with shipping our luggage, and what it also looks like to fly to camp. And so now I'm going to pass this off to Carly to talk about our packing list.
Great. So here are our two packing lists. One for the month-long campers, either at Big Spring or High Trails, and then one for the Sanborn Junior camper packing list. Both of these packing lists are in your Getting Ready guide, which has been sent to you already if you're enrolled. And if you're not already enrolled, will be sent to you upon enrollment. And then they're also found on our website in case you misplaced the Getting Ready guide. Some things we like to point out just as important notes. We do have equipment available for rent, and we'll talk about that a little more later. But if you have the things like a sleeping bag, backpack, water bottle, sleeping pad, headlamp, you are more than welcome to bring any of that gear that you would like. But we also have that available. The one thing we do recommend bringing is a rain jacket. We do tend to get a fair amount of afternoon thunderstorms throughout the summer, and it does tend to rain. And so having your own rain jacket will be very beneficial and keep you much more dry than maybe the ponchos that we have in the store. Your own hiking or walking shoes are very recommended for both Sanborn Junior and month-long campers. We do have a few pair of shoes available, but again, for comfort and accessibility, it's much easier to have those two things as your own personal ones. We do laundry every other day. And so no need to bring enough clothes for an entire month. We'll talk a little bit more about where you keep all your clothes, but kind of the amount that we have on here is what we found works. And then you're able to reuse the clothes with laundry. We highly recommend bringing books and activities and things like that to bring in the cabin, pictures from home, any stuffed animals that you might want to bring, we highly recommend. And then, let's see. Yeah, I think that's all I have on the packing list. It is different for the month-long versus the Sanborn Junior one. But then I believe Krista will talk about our rentals and purchases.
Thanks, Carly. Yes. So we have a wide variety of items, and some of them are for rent and some of them are for purchase. And so kind of you can see in the three categories here on your screen, there are many things that we have that are outdoor gear that we have here at camp that you can rent, especially kind of those bigger ticket purchase items like a sleeping bag or a backpack, because we acknowledge that campers are growing. And so your first summer at camp, you might need a this size backpack. And then as you grow, you might need a bigger backpack. And so we have rentals for those and other variety of things. Additionally, some of you are going to be coming to camp by car, and you can kind of stuff it with that extra fluffy comforter and pillows and all of these things. And others, now that Southwest Airline no longer does 2 free bags, you might be kind of wanting to pack a little bit more efficiently and not want to have to pack some of those more bulky items. And so we also have those items here for you for rent. Those are things like linens and pillows and blankets and horseback riding boots. So lots and lots of items to rent. The middle column of this screen is camping items for purchase. I like to call it the Sanborn REI. So many of these are things that you might already have, but we also have them here in case while you're out on your camping trip, you lose your spork or need an extra bowl. We have all of those things here at Camp for Purchase. And then finally, we have our camp store. And our camp store is full of all of the types of Sanborn merchandise, fun hats and shirts and sweatshirts, stickers, all of those fun things that are fun to visit for our campers. And we also open the camp store on opening day for our parents as well, after many, many requests for one more hoodie for parents at home. And so the additional options, you're able to select what you would like on the additional options form. And that opens up in May. And that just lets us know, so we make sure we have enough linen bundles pre-prepared for you and like have an idea of what people are looking to rent for this summer. And it's also really helpful with some travel and other pieces on the additional options. And all of those, any of those additional pieces will be billed at the end of your camp session. It gives you a lot more flexibility for adding on, we brought the suitcase to camp, but now we want to ship it home. All of those options are open for you. And then we just kind of get it all put together in one nice end of camp invoice for you. Jenny, is there anything I missed on additional options?
Nope, that was perfect. I think that you also touched on the point that we don't have this form available for you until after May 1st. And so I know we've had a few parents already reach out asking, where do I reserve my rental items? And like Krista said, you just have to wait a little bit and it will be available on May 1st. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about where you might be living. And so we're first going to talk about Big Spring, and then I'm going to pass it back to Krista to talk about High Trails. So at Big Spring, there's actually 3 different types of places where you could be living. The first option is cabins, and cabins are for our junior campers who are typically in 2nd through 4th grade. And we always have approximately 10 campers and 2 to 3 counselors living in a cabin. And the cabins are really nice because they also have a bathroom located inside of the cabin. The yurts are where our 3rd through 5th graders live, and there are 12 campers with about 3 to 4 staff members in each of the yurts. And there is a central wash house located nearby to each of the yurts. And the tents are where we have our 6th through 10th grade campers living. And typically we have 4 to 5 campers and 1 to 2 counselors living in a tent. And there's also a central wash house near the tents for bathrooms and showers. And a lot of our wash houses were actually just recently built at Big Spring. And so they're really, really nice. And there's a little locker for your shower items and your toothbrush and toothpaste. And we also recommend that you bring a shower caddy to transport your shower goodies from your locker to your shower. And then to take a look inside of each of these Big Spring living areas, in the cabins, you'll notice that there are actually lockers for each of the boys to unpack their belongings into. And so those lockers have shelves and a hanging rod to hang their items on, and their suitcases can be stored on top of those lockers. For the boys who are living in yurts, you can see that there are bunk beds spread around the yurt in a circular fashion, and Most of the campers at Big Spring, if you're not a junior camper, everyone else is essentially going to be living out of their luggage. And so, whatever luggage that is that works best for you is great. Many of our Big Spring campers will choose to pack their luggage or pack their camp belongings in a trunk that is a hard-sided trunk so that it just gives a little bit more organization to their belongings that they're going to be living out of for the duration of their stay. Also, if you are a car camper and coming to camp by car, you might think about getting some of those drawers, the plastic drawers that you might be able to fit underneath your bed to help you stay organized. You can also see in the yurts how people have used some of those shoe hangers to organize some of their belongings. And you can also hang things on the lattice around the outside of the yurt, like backpacks and coats and things like that. And in the tents, the tent flaps roll up to give you a nice breeze. The yurts and the tents also both have electricity. And in the tents, also, again, it's storing your belongings underneath your bed. And so if you have a trunk, that works great. Duffel bags also work, as well as regular luggage. But again, just whatever is easiest for you to be getting in and out of every single day. And then I'm going to pass it off to Krista to talk about high trails.
So at High Trails, we all live in cabins, and all of the cabins have the same footprint, and each cabin has its unique vibe and unique flavor. And so if you are looking at this cabin here, you'll notice that there's two doors. And so there are two cabin sides. And so you might get your cabin assignment, and it might be Columbine East or Columbine West. So in each cabin side is a bunk room, and that bunk room has 12 beds. So that's 9 campers and 3 counselors. And then every camper also gets a locker in the bunk room. And then in the middle, in between the two sides, is a shared living room space. I love the living rooms. You can see in this photo here, it's great for playing cards and French braiding hair and sorting laundry. And every evening, our campers gather in that living room space and talk about the day and share stories from the adventures that they went on and also plan and look ahead for the next day. And then behind that shared living room space, in between the two bunk rooms on either side of the cabin, is a shared bathroom. And so that bathroom has showers and sinks and toilets and indoor plumbing and all of those conveniences as well. And so that is the cabin unit. But one of my top favorite parts of our cabins is the front porch. And as you can see, we build a hammock town on every front porch and also every available tree around High Trails for those down times for writing letters home or reading a book during rest time and lounging. And don't worry if you don't have a hammock, because we also have some of those at camp that you can borrow as well.
All right, Carly, would you like to talk a little bit about laundry?
I would love to. So as I mentioned earlier, laundry at camp is done every other day, rotating between High Trails one day and Big Spring the next day. Each unit or each cabin will have a laundry bag, and so it's a communal laundry bag. And so all the campers and staff will put their dirty clothes into the laundry bag. They'll leave it out on the porch at High Trails or in a laundry hut at Big Spring. And then our amazing laundresses will come around, pick it up, bring it to the laundry hut, wash it, dry it, put it back into the bag, and then the staff and campers will pick it up at the end of the day and sort it back to the respectful owners. One thing that's really important is that all of the laundry gets labeled with a camper's or a staff member's name. And so if you have those little stickers, I used to have one, it said Carly Liebeck, and then it had like a little volleyball on it. If you have any of those are super helpful. They sell some stamps now where you can stamp your name and phone number into those things. This really helps us with the lost and found problem. It seems as though every single person at High Trails has a pair of black leggings. We have a hard time getting those black leggings back to the respectful owners. And so labeling it is super helpful. If you leave something at camp and it is labeled, then we will try our hardest to send it to you if you would like. If it's not labeled, then we just keep it. And so keep that in mind as well. One thing that's important to talk to your campers about is what can go in the laundry. So talking to them about rain jackets and puffy coats and mittens, and any of those layers, they don't need to be washed. And if they do need to be washed, they can come see a director. They probably shouldn't go through the communal laundry. And then, yeah, things like jeans don't need to be washed every day, and having that conversation with your campers before the summer is super helpful for the laundresses having the least amount of laundry possible with all the laundry that they do. Did I miss anything on laundry, Krista or Jenny? Great. I believe now Krista's going to talk about car campers.
Yes. So car campers are the name that we share with families who plan to arrive to camp by car. And so one big temptation for campers who are arriving by car is, as previously mentioned, to stuff absolutely everything. And hopefully you now have seen some of the videos and have like a better understanding of the space that you have at camp. So you do want to make sure that you are packing and doing that pre-packing and then taking a few things out so that you have the right amount of stuff to fit in your locker and fit in the space that is yours. When you are signing up to arrive at camp, you will fill out your transportation form, and at that time, you will select a time. What we have found is that it's super helpful instead of opening the gate and having a line of 100 cars coming and everyone having to wait in long lines, is that we have staggered our arrival timing so that little batches of families arrive, and so that we can greet you all personally, and so that you can go and talk to our nurses and be greeted by them personally, and so that your check-in process goes smoothly and quickly without long lines and waiting. And so you can sign up for your time of choice, and those will be assigned in batches as we receive those forms in. If you are struggling with that form or struggling with the time, just reach out to Jenny and let her know so that we can make sure that we are getting the best time for your family. Speaking of arrival times, so on arrival day, due to that stretched out arrival time, our timing is between 8 a.m. And 4 p.m. all throughout arrival day. So it's a big day. It's lots of celebration and so many homemade cookies and slices of pumpkin bread. So be sure to stop by that table on your check-in. So lots of timing as folks are coming in by car. And then pickup, it goes a little bit faster because you already know where you're going. So on pickup day, most families we ask that you pick up by 11 a.m. And so many of you will be picking up and going on flights or driving and traveling home. And so you come on in and get to meet the campers, and you have time to walk around camp and go meet the horses and see things like that. But we ask that you pick up by 11 a.m.
Shipping luggage. Occasionally families find it easier to ship some of their luggage to camp, depending on what their schedule looks like or depending on how many bags they have. Sometimes those trunks can be easier to ship. So if you are shipping luggage, make sure that you put it in the mail at least 10 days before opening day, so we ensure that it has enough time to get to us here at camp and your camper's not left without any clothes or anything that they might need. Trunks and duffels, if you're sending them through FedEx or UPS, need to be placed into a cardboard box to ensure that there's no damages, and that's how they request that things be taken. And then try to keep the bags under 50 pounds or the boxes under 50 pounds to avoid overweight shipping charges and to make it a little bit easier on you and us on the back end. And then we will insure when we send your boxes home, we will insure those items for $900 unless you specifically request for us to insure it for more. So if you do have things, you're like, oh, we're going to need more insurance than that $900, you can let Jenny know and she will handle that for you. However, we have partnered with Ship Camps, which is a program that picks up the luggage from your house, brings it to the FedEx office, ships it, delivers it to us, and then it picks it up from us and delivers it right back to your house. And so we strongly recommend that you use Ship Camps. It is the much more affordable option. I believe it's $99 each way to ship that luggage. And you don't have to go to the UPS store. You don't have to go to the FedEx store. And it kind of takes out that hassle of those sort of things. And so the QR code for Ship Camps is on the screen here. And if you have any questions about that, you can always ask. But we do recommend using Ship Camps if you decide to ship any of your luggage. And now Jenny will talk about.
Thanks, Carly. So yes, we actually have probably about 2/3 of our campers will be driving to camp with their parents, which means 1/3 of our campers will be flying, and they will be flying without their parents on an airplane, and we will be meeting them at the airport. And so on both opening day and closing day, one of our very important policies is that we never let the campers be alone in the airport ever. And it doesn't matter if they are 8 years old and a junior camper or if they are 16 years old. We will have our staff members go through security and meet each and every camper as they are stepping off of the plane, go with them to grab their bags from baggage claim, and then hang out with them at DIA. There's a nice little courtyard outside where we get to hang out and play games, and we bring lots and lots of food. So we make sure that they are fed before getting on the buses to head back to camp. And then on the flip side of that, on closing day, we will help the campers check in, get their boarding passes, go through security with them, make sure they have food, and wait with them at their gates until they get on their planes. And so we do take a lot of staff with us to the airports, and we require that all of the flights arrive between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. on opening day, and then depart between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. on closing day from either Colorado Springs or Denver International Airport. And then we also have a lot of families who live in the same city as other families. And you might not even know who those families are, but we would love to be able to have you guys on the same flights. And so, for example, second session, Kansas City has probably 20 different families, all from that same city, which is a lot of people. And so it makes way more sense for all of you guys to be on the same flight, and then you can have familiar faces at the airport. You might even be able to sit next to each other on the plane. And then it makes it easier for us and our staff to have one gate where we're picking up a bunch of campers instead of 20 different gates to go to pick those campers up. So it's really a win-win if you try to book one of the recommended flights. And then we also have a lot of campers who are considered unaccompanied minors, and this varies by airline. For Southwest Airlines, if you are 11 years old or younger, you're considered an unaccompanied minor. But if you're 12 years old and older, you are considered basically an adult or a youth traveler. And other airlines are different. For United, it's under 14. Delta, I think it's also under 14. And typically there's an extra fee incurred with being an unaccompanied minor. But for us on our end, it doesn't matter because we're still picking up that 16-year-old at their gate. And when you are booking tickets, if you are booking a ticket for an unaccompanied minor, they're going to ask you who is the pickup or drop off person. And so for the Colorado Springs Airport, his full name is Eric Jamie Bruce. And at Denver International Airport, it's Daniel Thatcher. Those are the names that we're going to ask you to write down now when you're booking the ticket. But obviously, they can't be at all 50 gates at the exact same time. We need more people than that to make sure that we have a solid ratio and that we are meeting every single camper at their gate and we don't miss a single person. And so a couple of weeks prior to your camper's flight, I will reach out to you and let you know exactly which staff member is going to be picking up or dropping off your camper at the airlines. And we ask that you call the airline to let them know what that change is going to be. And we let you know that as soon as we get all of the travel plans and all of the plans from all of the families so we can create that puzzle of who is picking up who or dropping off who at the airport. And finally, we would love to open it up for questions if anybody has any questions.